Okay, guys, welcome to tonight's webinar. And I'm really chuffed with you guys showing up. I know end of the year, I know everyone's batteries are flat. The last thing that you want to do is attend a webinar. So it says a lot of you that you guys are here. But I really believe that this session is going to, well, it's my goal to make you think of a few things that you maybe never thought of, because it's so important, especially if you had a rough year, to reflect, go and stand still and really reflect on what happened during this year. So I know now, let me just go to the chat, that Bianca is running around with her kids. So she's got a boy 9 and a girl 7. And Nicolette, I can't remember how old your children are. If you can just quickly put it in the chat. But I would love to know if you can maybe share. I know she's running around with food, so maybe she can put something down and just type quickly. But I would love to know, what are the things that you, if you think back about your year with your kids, that really drained you? Is there something that really drained you, something that stand out? Okay, Nicolette says the youngest is in grade 3, middle is in grade 10. Okay, so grade 10, that's a tough one, eh, Nicolette? Okay, teenage years are not fun. All right, but if is there anything that stood out for you that really just took everything out of you? Let me just quickly see um, if anyone can maybe just share something. I'm going to use some example, because after doing this for many years, I can tell you that what parents are struggling with, and even with what teachers are struggling with, it's always the same. Okay, so but I want to really make you, with this session, I want you to really think about the year. Okay, so Nicolette says, luckily, yeah, she's quite independent. My son, oh boy, is another story. Okay, but luckily you are learning a lot, Nicolette, and because he's still in grade 3, you are going to set up everything in a way that he's not going to know that there's any other way, and that normally helps a lot, especially if they go to grade 4. All right, so let's quickly start. So I just want to quickly, I'm really going to try and not be long. My when I practiced it, it was about a 30-minute session. But as some of you know that have listened to me before, I get very excited, and then sometimes I talk a little bit longer. But this is my aim. I don't want to keep you long. But I want to talk about the challenges of 23, and I want to talk about why reflection. I want to talk about some pain points, and then I want to talk about how we can help you. All right. So we're going to go through everything, but we need a solution, right? So I want to end everything tonight with a way in which we can help you and assist you. So whether, if you're watching the recording, whether you are a teacher or a parent, the principle is exactly the same. Okay, and this is really something that I can tell you that makes a big difference. But a little bit about myself. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen. Here in the picture with me is my sister Marlies, and we are really best friends. We work together. We've been working together for more than 10 years now. And people always ask us, do we fight? No, we don't fight, because we know how to work together. We know each other's strong points and weak points, and we are just so blessed to work together. And our main aim is to educate parents and teachers all about the topics around cognitive skills, executive functioning skills, and how we can assist children through school. So everything around education, homework doing, study skills, we're all about that, right? So we've got centers around South Africa. So Louise, for instance, and a lot of people watching, we've got some agents across South Africa that's got BioLink centers, and we assist. This is what we do. We try and get to everyone, and that's why we developed a business model where we have centers across South Africa and also across the world, where we really try and reach each and every one. Okay, so that's just a little bit about us. Okay, so I want to talk about reflection because I know this is a foreign something for moms normally. So I would like to know from you, if you would don't mind to share, have you ever sat down and really took the time to think about the year gone by? And let's talk about just overall. You're a mom, you're a working mom, you've got a few kids, right? You've got a husband, maybe you've got a business. And I think, like I said in the beginning, I think everyone is so tired at this stage. Or we are just counting the sleeps until we get to December for a holiday, right? But and then we're so dead tired that the last thing that you want to do is think about the year gone by. But is there anyone in the audience today that would mind sharing? Have you ever sat down and let's look at the topic of tonight, really reflected and think about your child from the beginning of the year until now and what they struggled with? What were you fighting about? What did they just did not get right? Have you ever really taken an hour or 2 hours or more and just thought quietly what happened? Okay, so let's see. Okay, Nicolette said yes. Okay, so anyone else? I mean, Louise, you a teacher. Um, so because with teachers, it's exactly the same. Okay, we're struggling with oral. Great. Okay. Anyone else that'd like to share? I know now Bianca's cooking a storm loose there in George. Okay, not in general reflecting on our year, mostly from a gratitude point. But you know what? Because I'm all about positive. I'm one of the people, my husband always gets really mad at me because he says to me, can you please just be a little bit negative? I'm always positive. I always have a smile on my face because I'm just every day so thankful for everything that I have. So, but if you think about your kids, and because you are here tonight because you want to learn something, right? And if you think about your kids, there's different aspects that we want to touch on. Okay, coming from an OT working in mental health care. Okay, great, because Bianca, that's one of my things. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, but reflection is important because reflection is actually a very important executive functioning skill. And I know out of first-hand experience from here from the Free State is that a lot of teachers, and I have teacher friends that's teaching, I know students that's studying to becoming teachers. These skills are not taught. It's not part of the curriculum. But if you look at today's way on how a classroom is structured, everything that children are supposed to be doing, these skills all comes in play. And now the teachers, they don't have, no, I'm not saying all, but most teachers don't have this background. And if they had this background, it changed everything. It changes the way you talk. It changes the way you give instructions. Just changes everything, right? So, but reflection is actually something that's important to teach our kids because if we want our children to be problem solvers, it's so important that we give them a platform to do that, but we need to teach them. So the only way that we can do that is to teach them to look back at stuff that they struggled with on different aspects. Because if you can identify what they struggled with, then you have the primary issue. So that's the issue. And then we can set goals and plan how are we going to overcome it. Because if you are not, Louise, if you're not, you guys not going to have a plan to improve oral, you're going to still keep struggling with it. We need to find the way in which you can help your child. Okay. So Bianca say, I'm just reading this because I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but she says, need to prepare my grade 3 for the big leap into grade 4 with his ADHD, no chemical medication. So with a need to plan for the challenges lived this year, and that was that most likely escalate. Okay, Bianca, at this point, did you attend my grade 3 to grade 4 transition workshop? I can't remember. I did so many workshops, so I'm not sure if you attended. You can just put it in the chat if you didn't attend it, because I do have a recording. Oh, okay. Only found the site. Okay, great. So Bianca, I'm going to send you. I've got your email list. I've got your email on my contact list. I will send you a webinar, a workshop that I did, especially for grade 3s parents going to grade 4. Okay. Oh, is it Afrikaans? Okay, I'll send that to you. All right. And there's loads of resources and everything, but I'll send that to you, and then you can just communicate with me via email. All right, and then I'll help you. Okay, because so it's important if we want to go ahead. And the thing is, guys, and it's in one of my upcoming slides, but I want you to really think about this. We want to develop problem solvers, not direction followers. And I'm saying this because I am very conscious about myself to, if I respond to someone asking me something, that I'm not giving direction, but I want them to get to the problem themselves. This is one of the things that I talked about in my grade 3 to grade 4 workshop as well, where I talked about we need our children to struggle, because struggle will lead them, if you can guide them through that, to the solution. Because our kids are really struggling. Their critical skills are very, very poorly developed. Because why? We tend to be always in a hurry as parents. I mean, we are all working. And the easiest way for us to get the stuff done, to get that little box ticked, is to give them directions. And that's the wrong way. Okay. Louise, okay, I'll send that. I'm going to send it to everyone. Okay, that's here. All right. So I hope I made the point. You need to yourself reflect. But if you do this exercise, I want you to go and do this exercise with your child and talk about and hear what were the things that they struggled with, right? Okay, now I'm going to get to that. So I hope I made my point. It's really, really important. Okay. Because why? What's the reasons? They're going to learn from their mistakes. Okay. Because mistakes is good. Mistakes gives you an opportunity to grow. And I've done a workshop a while ago where I talked to parents about we have to help develop children that's got a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. But most kids has got a fixed mindset because they also just want to get everything done as fast as possible. They don't like to struggle. They don't want to go the long route. They want quick fixes, drive-through options, right? This is the age that we are living in. But I want to really urge you and ask you to go think about this, because making a mistake and you being there to have them and support them, they will grow from that, right? So the next time they make a mistake, maybe the first time they cried, the next time they still, maybe there's going to be a tear or two, but you are going to be there and you're going to find the next and the better solution. So that's the first reason. Okay. Then improve decision making, like I told you. A lot of times, and we've seen this when we do our study methods course, is that, and Bianca, just letting you know that we have got an awesome agent in your area, and she does live workshops with parents and kids where we take you through these things. A lot of kids, they don't want to make decisions because they know the mom and the dad is going to make it for them. You want kids to be able to make decisions, because if it comes to homework, if as soon as they get to an obstacle when they're doing homework, right, they are not going to make a decision. So what are they going to do? They're going to wait for you to get home, and then you are dead tired. You have other kids. You have to cook dinner, and now you have to catch up on all the stuff that wasn't completed. because they couldn't make a decision, right? Set goals and priorities. I talk to a lot of parents, and really, and this is not finger pointing, it's just the thing. Like I said, we live in an age where everything is fast paced. So to slow down and teach them a stupid thing like, how do I set a goal? We don't teach that to them. They don't get that taught. That's not taught in school at all, right? Because all these skills, like setting goals, it's a big part in our study method course as well. You need to practice this. So they need to set goals, but these goals needs to be set with a certain formula so that they have success, so that they want to do it again. Okay, but we don't teach them how to set goals. And then, okay, now I've got this goal. What do I do now with this goal? How do I break it up? What do I do first? Right? There's steps. Okay, so again, if we reflect on things that we did, that's only the time when we can say, okay, so plan A did not work. Let's talk about plan B or plan C, right? So important, when you do this exercise, you are not going to do the talking. You are going to lead your child so that they talk to you. And sometimes in the beginning, it's a little bit of a, especially if you don't have this kind of discussions, it's like pulling through tooth. But then if they can't answer that question, you need to ask them another question, all right, to get them to get to a answer, all right? And then also to enhance self-awareness, all right? It's very important so that they understand themselves, so that they, through all these skills that you are teaching them, can be aware and be confident about themselves. And then the last one is to celebrate successes. I think we sometimes also forget to do that, to celebrate the success. And that success does not mean a 95% always. That success means that your child got to a roadblock with homework and he made a decision. That is success. It's not always the big stuff. It's the small, small little things that they do that will prepare them and help them to want to do it again. Okay, so that's the reasons why we want to do that. Okay, so let me quickly go on. So I just made a list of things that I want you to go think about, right? So whether you are a parent or teachers, you have to think about the same things. So parents, go think about, if I talk about school, right? Think about things that maybe irritated you with regards to communication with the school, okay? Think about, and like I said then, your child sits with you and says, okay, if you think about everything, all the classes that you had, all the teachers that you had, what were the things that you struggled with? What was not nice? And then try and get to the bottom of it. Why, right? So this could be really a very positive discussion. Same thing you do with homework. Okay, what with homework are you struggling with? Why are we always fighting about homework? How can we make this better, right? And then the learning part, because this is the thing that I really struggle with. Because what do? Sorry, if you do this, but and you will hear me if any webinar when I speak about this topic, you may never, ever, ever, ever buy a summary, ever. You can buy old papers, exam papers, test papers. I subscribe to Worksheet Cloud because they've got awesome exam papers, and a lot of the exercises they can do online. So my Laat Lammetjie, that's in grade 5, I will sit and work, and he will do, every week we do at least 3 comprehension tests, and in Afrikaans and in English, and he does it on online. Okay, so it's nice because he can market them himself. But I mean, you need to always remember, because what do? If you buy a summary, they don't think out of their own head, how am I going to structure this summary? So what do? They learn all of these facts out of their head, and what happens then? Then when they ask a question just a little bit of another way, they can't answer it. Or as soon as they get into the higher grades, when the workload becomes more and more, they can't remember anything, right? That's why there's a certain way in which we teach our kids to learn, okay? So go reflect and go see. Go take your child's books and ask them, okay, so if I send you to the room and I say, go study, what do you actually do, right? Because that's a very important question, okay? What do they do? Because some of them are writers. They just rewrite the whole book. So they want to do their work, they want to do a summary, but they don't know how, so they rewrite in the book. And now if they make a summary or rewrite in the book, they think it's learning. It's not learning, right? We've got a 12-step process. If you want to learn more about our study methods course, if you go to our YouTube channel that I'm going to direct you to tomorrow, you will see that there's also a recorded webinar that Marlies did with brilliant minds, something with brilliant minds. But there we take you through the whole process of how we do that, right? I can really tell you with a lot of self-confidence that the way we do our study methods course, you will not find it anywhere in South Africa. And we've had many teachers attended. Actually, 3 weeks ago, I had a grade 3 teacher here from Great College that sent me a voice note. I'm going to actually use it as a testimonial, where she said that in her life, she has never seen her son, that's grade 6, do the things. He immediately took everything that we said and he started applying it. And it's now 3 weeks later. I spoke to her yesterday. He's still doing it because he's getting results. So I can really tell you, it's a great, great session not to be missed. Okay, so we do it mom and child together, and everything that we do is practical. And then emotional well-being. When have you really sat down? And I know with sons, I've got 3 boys. It's difficult to get it out of them, you know. But I always say your child's behavior is a communication tool to tell you actually what's wrong, but you don't know what that behavior actually means. So let me give you an example. If you have this absolute resistance with maths, for instance, if it's an ongoing thing, it affects them emotionally. It drains them, it makes them negative, right? So it's important that we look at all of these different aspects if we reflect. And remember, this should not now be a session with a book and a what. Take your child for coffee. Just have a chat. Go somewhere nice and say, listen, I want to look at last year and what's the things that really didn't work, because I want really to help and assist you to have a wonderful 2024. Okay. Teachers need to do the same with what irritates you at school, homework. How do you, if you give homework, if you reflect on what the children were struggling with, maybe look at another way in which you can present it, or how you can assist them. How things with, like, for instance, when you're struggling with parents, to get parents cooperation, because I know that's a big thing as well. Okay, so keep it simple. Just take a few things and then just start with something. But the key here is them with you. You don't do all the talking. You need to get them to open up to you, right? Okay, do I have, can I just quickly see if I still have you here? Does this make sense to you guys? Does this make sense to you? Is this something that you feel is doable and that maybe you have never tried before and will give it a go? Because that's important. You know, if we attend webinars like that, we always, you know, we want to learn something new, but we want to learn something that we can actually go and apply. So let's just see if some of you can. Okay, yeah, yes, we'll give it a go with my own kids. Okay, great, Louise. All right. Okay. And like I said, it must be the right time, a really relaxed session. It mustn't be a tense, something tense. Okay. So if any of other views, if you still want to type in, be free. But I just wanted to know if this, does this resonate with you? Because that's important for me to know. Okay. So, okay, I've tried. My son's emotional vocabulary is quite limited. He shies away from such questions, will attempt overcry ice cream. Yeah, bribery sometimes works. But you know what? The more you practice this, the better they become. So even though you start and it's not actually, you're not getting a result, but there was an effort, and you go on and you start practicing this the whole time, they will get there. I promise you. Okay. So I wanted to give you an example, for instance. So let's look at homework. Let's say homework was a pain in the behind, okay? Okay, so let's look at certain things. And this is just short questions that I want you to use as reflection, all right? So if we look at, let's say homework is never complete. We see that a lot. Okay, so questions that you can ask yourself when this happens, right? Is that, do they know what to do when they get home? Now, you guys that's going to watch my grade 3 to grade 4 workshop, you will see I speak about that as well. Okay. Do they have everything that they need to complete their work? Okay. I'm talking about simple little things like enough paper, a print. Do they have a workstation where everything is set up, where they don't have to guess what to do, right? Because what do they do? And I'm going to talk about this. They procrastinate, right? Because they're not sure what to do. They can't make a decision. Because this is the key. And I promise you, this really helps up to grade 7. This helps kids. Because if you've never done this before, it doesn't matter the age. It's just a principle that you are teaching them, okay? Is the prompt visual, okay? So for instance, when I do one of the parts in our study methods course, I teach them, if you get your list of work, do you feel overwhelmed with what to do first? And then all of them says yes. They don't know what to do first. So I teach them that matrix, you know, that little blocks, urgent, important. So I teach them what the 4 quarters are, to take the list, to go and identify which lists are where, and then do the exercise. But I've given them a template, and I told them this template is up on your wall, so that you don't have to go look for it through cupboards and wherever. It's somewhere stowed away in a bag. It must be there so that I can take the action and get on with it, right? So I can just tell you, and I'm going to talk about it again here. If something is in their heads, it's too abstract for them to understand, especially if we talk about time, and I'm going to talk about time. It's too abstract. For us, it's easier because we're already grown, but we need to make everything for them more concrete so that it makes sense to them, so that they can take the next step, and so that they don't wait for you to do that. So this is just questions to ask yourself, okay? So with the homework, maybe it's that. Maybe they don't listen so well in class because they don't write everything down in the homework. This is one of the things that we teach them also in our courses, how to do that. And I know we've got a lot, and remember, we've been doing this many years, and I've got lots of friends that's teachers. They don't want to let children, and I understand why, write while they're talking, because I understand why. They think they're not paying attention. But we teach children from a very early age, that especially from grade 3s, when I do workshops as well, I teach them. I tell them, teacher talks, and she says something like, remember whatever, just write it down. Don't even look at the paper, just write it down, because they sometimes forget, right? So a lot of times listening in class and getting homework that's not written down. So what do? We've got WhatsApp groups with moms that are cheerleaders and headmistresses, and so no one is learning anything, okay? So it defeats the purpose, right? We need to teach this to them. Okay. Procrastination. A lot of times they procrastinate, guys, because they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do first. So they rather wait for you to get home to do that, to do it for them. Okay. So actions here, what works? So I want you to go and look at if procrastination was something that they did, and then remember, if they procrastinate, whose issue is it? It's your issue. It's your issue. There's a fight, and then everything comes down to you. Poor mom that needs to just get everything together because we don't want to get them in trouble. But I believe if they need to take responsibility. So to get into trouble once is not a bad thing, right? You're not leaving them and getting them in trouble and say, yes, I told you so. You are going to use that as a teaching opportunity to develop a skill that they don't have. All right. So what specific work are they leaving till last? Is it reading? Is it maths? Remember what I told you. Every behavior that we see is there's something behind that. There's a reason for that, right? Because we need to get to the primary cause. What's that thing? Okay. And then what can we put in place to get them to take action? Okay. So let's look at time management. This is the biggest one. You will hear me if you follow me and you're in our Facebook group, our close Facebook parent group. I talk about time management so often because it's the biggest issue for all of us. Time is the biggest issue. And because we are so pressed for time, everything is done too fast. There's no reinforcement. They can't remember. It's fights. Nothing gets done properly, right? So time management is one of the most important executive functioning skills that you need to teach your child. Because remember, especially if you've got an ADHD child or a neurodivergent child, these children are all time blind, eh? They have no sense of time. No. So you can never actually get mad at them because they have no cooking clue. So you need to teach them this. And you can teach them the awareness of time through games that you can play. Keep on following us, guys. I've done a lot of workshops and lives in our Facebook group on this, but I'm never going to talk about this topic because it's something that parents need to understand how important this is. Okay. So if you look at time management, I'm going to give you an exercise to do today, right? And if I'm going to send you the grade 3 to grade 4 recording of my workshop, there is templates for you in there that you can go do this exercise. Remember what I said, especially with, and I've done this, I haven't said this. Let me just quickly say this because Bianca doesn't know me. So I'm 52 years old. I've got 3 boys. My oldest boy is 23 years old. He's autistic and he's got ADHD. He was diagnosed in grade 6, age 6. And when he was 9, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Then I've got another boy, he's 21, also ADHD, a lot of anxiety. And then when I was 41 years old, I had a little lot lammetjie. So, and I was a teacher many years ago. So I can just tell you guys, and this is why I'm so passionate in teaching this, is that everything that I didn't know with my older kids, I had a chance to, I don't want to say practice, but I practiced everything with him. I did everything that I knew, how the brain learns, what I need to do. I did everything. And I can tell you that this child, and people say he's so clever. He's like all of us. Our whole family is ADHD. But he's got the skills. He's got skills that kids in grade 7 doesn't have because I've taught him those skills from grade 1. I promise you, from grade 1 on a very low level, right? So for him, all these things are just second nature. It's like breathing, right? So what I want you to do is a monthly planner. With a monthly planner, if you have a calendar, and you will see you are getting a calendar that I made for you that you can use. As soon as you can put a calendar up where they can see activities that they need to do, and they can see Monday and they can see Friday and they can see a lot of other things in between. That's when time becomes a reality for them, where they start understanding time, right? So that's what I'm saying. We teach this for grade one parents, can start teaching them this. Because if you remember, well, they do the calendars in grade one. I think it's grade one. But how many exercises do we do? Not a lot. They will never remember to do that, right? So I want you to start implementing and teaching them. As soon as I get something to do, I need to go to my calendar and I have to write it down. What is going to happen? Okay, so you can have a family one, depends on how many kids you have, but you can have one for each kid, maybe on the fridge, but this is where everything happens, because then you are starting to make them more aware of time. Okay, but this exercise I want you to go do, because I talk about this one a lot, and I'm very adamant about it, because sometimes I'm not very um people don't like me when I say this, but it's the truth. Think for yourself, and if you do this exercise, you're going to understand why I say this. um we want our kids to do all the nice things, and they want to do everything. They want to play rugby and cricket and choir and name it, chess and swim, and they've got all these things, right? But schoolwork is still number one, because normally when parents comes to us, they come to us because of poor marks, everything school related. But if I sit down with them and I look at the child's schedule and everything that's happening, it makes sense why the child is struggling. Because if they get to us, normally there's one reason why they are sent to us, or the teacher sent them to us, or they're looking for something. They think everything is concentration, attention. Everything is attention. And I tell you today, it's not how it is, right? So what I want you to do, you'll see with this planner, it's a planner that's got 15-minute slots. So all I want you to go and do is take all the activities that's fixed that they have. You color code them. Rugby is orange, cricket is blue, choir is yellow. You go and schedule and you color code everything they do. Extra classes, extra reading, right? And then also, if you do this, please take in mind, that's why I did the 15 minutes, 15-minute slots. If choir is between 3 and 4, you have to color in a little bit before, because maybe you pick up your child already at 3:30. So you have to color, and then after choir, you're going to go to Pick n Pay to go buy bread and milk, right? That's your register. So be very specific with coloring in these blocks, right? And then if you are done, I want you to look at all the spaces that is white. And then you will have the answer, right? So I'm not saying don't let your kids do all the things, because some kids are just so fantastic. They are good at everything, right? But you need to take in consideration, with today's way in which children are taught and the work that they need to be able to take in and complete, guys, it's a lot, okay? What if there's no extramural activities? Well, that's awesome. If there's no extramural activities, I can tell you I've never seen that. I've seen it, but not a lot. But if there's nothing, that's great as well. So what you're then going to do is you are going to, so this is now for your son. So for instance, when they get to grade 4 and you can do our study methods course, we will teach you in that course how you can still do the planning for them, because what do they want to do? They want to get the homework done as fast as possible to go and play. All right. So if there's no extramurals, that's actually awesome. So nothing is distracting. Okay. But I haven't seen a lot of that. So that's actually awesome. All right. So I want you to go do that. And the thing is, like I said, I don't want them to not do it, but you have to weigh it up. Right. So if they're now struggling with school, they will see, okay, that's why I'm not getting through all my work. So what does that mean? I can still do everything on this paper, but then I will have to catch up on weekends, because otherwise it's just going to go downwards. right? So, but I can promise you, let them do this themselves. You don't do it. You let them do this whole exercise. And that's if it's visual, it's actually as if the penny drops and it just makes sense to them. Okay. So when you reflect, when you're doing this is done by the parent and the child. We want problem solvers, not direction followers. I want you to remember this. So as soon as if your child asks you something, don't just give him the answer. Let me give you an example. The other day, my son came into the kitchen and we were cooking, and he was asking me, where's the sandwich maker, the snack pitcher? And because I'm cautious and aware of this, I didn't tell him where it is. I asked him because he's lazy. Where do you think it is? And he was looking at me and I said, where do you think it is? And then he actually knew where it was, if you understand what I'm saying. So be conscious of developing a child that can think for themselves, not you thinking for them. It's very, very important. Okay, so let me just quickly take a breather. I'm almost done. Does this resonate with you guys? Does this make sense? Let me just quickly see how you guys are feeling at this stage. Do I still have you? I just want to check my time. Okay, I have to finish almost. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's quickly, let me show you. So we have certain expectations, right, of our kids. We all think our kids are the smartest, the most beautiful, but we need to manage we have to manage our own expectations, right? And they also they have expectations of themselves, and sometimes they are so hard on themselves because they are struggling with something, and all of a sudden they think, no, I'm stupid, or I can't do it, right? Because these things here, we want our children. I mean, what is the main thing we want for our kids? We want kids that are happy, that are self-confident, that can grow, right? That can get to an obstacle and go through something that's not so nice, but have the resilience to get up, right? And go on and set new goals, right? And the only way we can help them to do this is for you to be with them, guiding them along the way. Okay. Louise says, yes, I often answer a child's question with, what do you think? Yes, they need to, they have the answer. But like I said, and this is not for us as parents, like I said, remember, everything is running at 100 miles an hour. So we've got so many things happening. We just want to get everything ticked off. But you have to just go sit down and just give yourself that minute to not do that, because it doesn't take so long to actually take that minute and do just that. Okay. So pain points. So let's look at pain points. I talked about time management. Okay. So I said here, use a planner, a calendar, make it visual for them, right? Make it fun, right? We don't want them to procrastinate. Okay. So sometimes find out why they are procrastinating. So I'm going to get to that now with our solution. Attention and focus. That's a pain point. Okay. But so many times, and I parents phoning me daily saying the teacher says my child can't pay attention. What is that? It's up in the air, right? We want facts, right? Organizational skills. Children's stuff are all over the place. One of the things that you can really help your child with is to have a secure space where everything is set up for them. If they are organized, you take away so much stress. And this can also be made fun because they have this own little space for them with all their pencils and all their things, right? Because that is the main thing. Papers are always lying around or lost or things like that. And then it ends up in a screaming fight. And we don't want that. They don't know how to learn. I talked about that. Okay. And that, like I said, problem solving and critical thinking. They just cannot get to the answer. Okay. but it's a skill, guys. It's not something that they just have. It needs to be practiced. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Because we want them to be independent, but we need to give them all the tools they need to be able to do that. So how can you help? Okay, you as a parent, everyone that's here tonight, how can you help to empower yourself with information and more knowledge? I've been doing this work for 16 years. There's not a weekend that goes by that I'm not attending one or other summit or webinars. I've never stopped learning, never, right? Because things are changing. So and luckily we are part of a network overseas that I've got access to great professionals in different fields. But if you want to really, even if you're just a parent, if you want to help your child, you need to understand. You need to make sense of this. I always tell people, a lot of times parents will tell me, I've got a friend now that son has just been diagnosed with autism. Will you talk to him or her? And then I said, I would at any time talk to that person. But what is it that you want me to say? Because my husband and I decided when Henry was diagnosed, it's not an excuse. And because I wanted to send, and he's sitting next to me here, I wanted to send him out in this world, and I'm not always going to be there. So I actually maybe made a little bit hard for him, but he's totally independent, totally. And it wasn't always easy. And I had no one to guide me. When he was, remember now, this is 16 years ago, right? There was no help in Bloemfontein. No one was specializing in this. I had to do this on my own. I had to try hundreds of things that didn't work and to get to the one thing that worked. I mean, he had sensory integration issues. He couldn't do maths at all. Still today, maths is too concrete too abstract for me. It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, but how can you help your child? Empower yourself. Have a learning attitude, right? How can we help? So this is what I want to talk to you. How can we help you, right? Like I said to you, parents phone me daily and then they will tell me this whole story of what the child are struggling with and what the teacher are saying. And on this journey, when we started our business, when we started BioLink, we took Henry to a lot of different people, a lot. So at one stage, I had 6 reports on a table in front of me. And if someone from the outside came in and read these 6 reports, it looked like 6 different people, right? Because everything was everyone's opinion. So the OT had an opinion. The educational psychologist had an opinion. Everyone had opinions, right? With their background. And now my husband is a professor in chemistry. So why I'm telling you this is, so he is the most skeptical person you will ever meet in your life, ever. So when we started on this journey, they were telling us he's got an attention problem. Dion would say, how severe, right? So everything was opinions and he wanted numbers. Typical a chemistry professor, their minds just works different. So when we started the business, we wanted a tool that, number one, there was no person involved, because a person also it's subjective, it's not objective. So we wanted an objective measurement of a child's capability. So in the first 6 years, we used a tool that we got from the United States. There was nothing wrong with it. There was just a lot of red tape, if I can call it that. But we then developed with industrial psychologists and AfriForte. AfriForte is the WorkWell arm of the Potch University. They develop psychometric tools. So we could go to them and say, listen, we want a tool to measure, and we want exactly what we needed. What I did because when we had this opportunity, I could ask them what I want. What our test has got in, that up to my knowledge today, I don't know of any other test that does this, we have built in auditory and visual distractions into this assessment. So the assessment it's a 20-minute assessment that will be done on a computer. The child will have a headset on, and the observer will be at the back, so there's no person involved. And we've built in these distractions, and these distractions, can I tell you, sometimes it shows us a lot of times where a lot of secondary symptoms comes from, right? So we have got a tool that measures what the effect of auditory and visual distractions is on a person's ability to pay attention. In 2017, Marlies and I launched this tool at the American Psychology Association's World Conference. And today, focus is used right across the globe. All right, so we are very proud of this tool. And I want to quickly show you how this looks like. Louise says, yes, I often answered. Oh, well, no, I did that. Okay, so, and I don't want to go into much detail, but this is the assessment, and this is how the report looks like, right? So we've got its age and gender reference. So this was an 8-year-old child. So we measure 4 things. We measure attention span, brain processing speed, impulse control, and then the effect that auditory and visual distractions has on a person's ability to pay attention, right? So, and I'm just going to touch on this quickly, but this one, for instance, consistency is attention. So if you look at this, this is now the graph, and the blue line, of course, as you can see now, is the child's score. And I know it's a little bit light, but there at the top is our purple line. That's our norm for 8-year-old girls in South Africa. Well, now worldwide, right? So the light part of the norm is so the light purple is the low part of the norm, and the high, the dark purple is the high part. But forget everything. This is what I want to show you. For me, yes, this child is in the norm, 72%. But what does this mean? So what I do normally when I look at a report like this is I take 20 minutes times 72% to get to the minutes. Because this is the thing, is that parents, if you need to understand what your child's skill set looks like, because how are you going to manage your expectations with regards to what you think your child are able to do? And sometimes they're absolutely not able to do that, right? So to make this more relevant, I transfer this now into minutes. So this one is the performance, brain processing speed, right? 40%, very low. So how does behavior looks like with a child that's a slow processor? They've got very poor listening skills. Homework and everything takes forever, right? So that's why I was telling you. So if we look at behaviors, it's actually telling us the reason why they're resistant. So a lot of times when children don't like a certain subject and they hate it, and now on top of that, it takes them forever to do it, they procrastinate. They don't want to do it. Okay? So with this report, so we want these 2 scores, those scores to be high. And then this one is impulsivity. We want the score to go to this side. And then this one is very interesting. Bianca, this would maybe also be interesting to you. And just, we've got 4 OTs in BioLink that uses this with their practice. And especially the one that I worked with in Bloemfontein. So if you look at here, over here on this side is the auditory and the visual distractions. So when we do the assessment, we also, of course, observe the child with what they are doing so that we can have a combined result. But over here, this is the visual distractions and this is the auditory distractions. So with this child, and I remember her now clearly, many years ago, but you remember the kids. She was sitting with her headphones, and the whole time she was taking the headphones, when the sounds came into her ears, she was taking the headphones off, right? What we sometimes find with children, what some of them also do, is if they don't like the noises, they start humming. They hum, they sing a song. block out that noises. So over here, it's absolutely a child that was very sensitive to the sensory input. Okay, so they block out everything. And that's not good, because if a lot of stuff, think how classrooms looks like, eh? It's very noisy. So if they've got sensory integration issues, they're going to block it out, and then they sometimes miss what the teacher is saying, right? So we can see when distractions are either too low, they are blocking it out, or if it goes to the other side on there, it's taking them off task. They are all over the show, right? And then a lot of times we can use this results to co-explains what happens on this side. But this report depends on why the mom came, all the things that we discussed. If we look at all these skills, we can identify what are the skills, what are the things they are going to struggle with. So then if you have this results, then you can only make a plan. So with the kids that's got that takes long with homework, for instance, you have to break it up for them a little bit, right? So there's different strategies then that you can take and put in place, but you need concrete, objective, scientific proof of how do they look like, right? So that we can then from there on make a plan. Okay, that's relevant to them. Okay, so I said here, be the change you wish to see in your child's world. As a proactive parent, you have the power to shape their future through your actions and your example. But you will have to empower yourself and learn. Never stop learning. If you want to help your child, but not do it for him, do it with them and get them independent. If you have this is my email address, but you are going to get the recording of the grade 3 to grade 4. I'll send it to you. You are going to get it from this email address. So that's my email address, and that's also our website. All right. So I'm done. I wanted to show you the tool that can give you, and teachers love this tool too. Why? Because with parents is that they don't always believe you, right? You've got the experience, you see all the red flags, but they are either in denial or they think, oh, but they will outgrow it. We've heard all the excuses. But if we then do a focus assessment where there's absolutely no person involved, it's absolutely objective, and we can put the report next to what the teacher says, 9 out of 10 times, the teachers are spot on. But now what makes this different is now we've got an actual number that shows and indicates the urgency or the severity of what we are dealing with, right? Okay, so that's why it's a great tool to use just to get started, right? Of course, this is where our therapy comes into play, because we use neurofeedback technology. We do neurocognitive training where we then develop all of these skills to enhance those skills to get them to independence. So we've got a whole process that we take the kids with, because our aim is to get our kids to be independent as fast as possible, but it's a process. It takes time. All right. Is there any questions, guys? Anything you want to ask me? Anything that you maybe learned that you are going to try? I would love to get your feedback. It means a lot to me. You set up a meeting like this and really try and we want to deliver and give you value. So it's very important for us to make certain that you guys got something from this session. So please, just a quick, you can either unmute yourself or you can even just type it in the block. That would be great. And like I said, I will then send you the recording tomorrow of the grade 3 to 4, everything that goes along with that. And if any of you have, after you've watched that, you have questions, please just send me an email. I'm very good on my emails. I'm in the morning in my emails, and at night I don't delay. All right. Nicolette says weekly planning going up for important dates my son have. They are currently busy with assessments. Yeah. And remember, like I said, you're going to learn a few things here that you can then first digest and go through it and then, implement it, and not everything all at once, right? Little bits and pieces. Otherwise, you're going to absolutely overwhelm your child, and then they're also going to resist because they're going to ask you, but what is happening with my mother now, right? We want them to take small steps so that they can get small little victories, so that they want to take on the next thing that they're going to do with you. All right. So if there's no other questions, Bianca, I don't know if you have any questions. Then I'm going to, I hope someone has cooked. I hope your husband has taken care of the kids. Okay. Louise, Nicolette. Okay, thanks for the information. Okay, big pleasure. All right. If there's anything else, please reach out to us and we will gladly assist you. All right. Okay, guys, you must have a wonderful evening and I hope to see you soon. Keep well. Bye.